cheap message of the Prophet. This came to resurrect the dead in human beings. This didn't come to give people life when they're dead. This come to resurrect the dead of those who are alive. If indeed you accept the Qur'an and you're dealing with the Qur'an. What's the use when you're dead? Tell me. What is the use when you're dead that people stand up and pray for you and make dua for you and read Qur'an for you and transfer blessings for you? Where is the authority for this? That is why we have a lazy community more than average. Why? Because they're brought up from different cultures contrary to the message of the Prophet. And that is why the average Muslim, man, woman, child, is rarely committed to changes. Why? Because it's easy for you to go and get somebody to pray for your father and mother. It's easy to get somebody to make dua for you. It's easy to get somebody to read Qur'an for you. This is how cheap we have become. And we have embarrassed this Prophet and disregard his message. Because his message was meant to resurrect the dead of society. You and I claim we are his followers. What are we doing to get out of the death that we are in? This Qur'an invites people who are existing to an existence where they will have power over themselves, where they will have the opportunity to change their predicament, where they will have an opportunity to influence their families. I'm a member of a family. I deal with community. And we are looking for encouragement from our brothers and sisters who take their life in their own hand and say, yes, I'm man enough to make the changes so that I can tell my children, look, I've been your father, but I've erred. It's not too late for me to change. This is the kind of parents we need to see. This is the kind of leadership we need to see. We don't need to see people who grow rotten in leadership and don't influence themselves or their families. Because if I cannot generate life in my children, it is very difficult to generate it in yours. And that's this stagnation we have in society. And this Prophet was a man who charged with that responsibility. He was the first one to submit to Allah. وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And Abraham was not someone who compromised divine guidance. He didn't read divine guidance with one corner of his mouth and follow Fir'aun with the other corner. You know, he didn't follow different standards. This mighty messenger was also asked not to be a mushrik. Who is a mushrik? A mushrik is anyone who turns away from the divine guidance and follows the system of dhulm. Follows the system of dhulm. What is dhulm? In chapter 31 verse 13, Surah Luqman, the advice given to the child was, Ya bunayya, la tushrik billah, inna shirka la dhulmun adhim. Shirk is mighty darkness. The darkness you see in your life or my life is because of shirk. The darkness you see in Muslim masjids is because of shirk. The darkness you see in Muslim organizations is because of shirk. The darkness you see in Muslim countries is because of shirk. You can't suck cane and blow a whistle at the same time. You can't play with divine system and the systems of different communities at the same time. You can't have contradictory systems at the same time. All the injustices, the dhulumat, the depression, the stagnation, the backwardness, the extremism, the low self-esteem you find with Muslims, the poverty in their society, the absence of human rights in their society. And that is feature number one, I can tell you. In a Muslim society, you hardly have your rights. If you give open visa to this country, everybody wants to come here. Because why? They know. Anytime you become an intelligent human being, You can't stand up and express yourself in your own country. Look at the track records of the Muslim country today. Anytime you have a scholar who speaks out, what he's doing, he has to run for his life. Because these so-called holy Muslims, they're so barbaric, all they want is the blood of an ex-person. Whether this scholar is in the Arab world, or this scholar is in Asia, this is their track record. They are so barbaric that they mean that you cannot say something which is different from their upbringing. This beloved Prophet had to deal with people like that. Because imagine, he was talking against his tribe. He was talking against the culture of the Arabs. He was talking against everything. Because he was a man who was there to deliver a message of hope, of enlightenment, of upliftment. He was not here to tell them, you know, continue, you are good people. Worship these gods as you do. Do all these rituals that you do. If you get somebody who comes and tell you that, you will feel it's very nice. Because why? You don't have to make any much changes. But then if somebody comes and tell you and me, you need to wake up. You need to take responsibility in your own hands. You are responsible for the sons and daughters you have. You are responsible for the kind of families you have. You are responsible for the kind of role you play in society. You are responsible for the kind of organizations you form. You are responsible for the kind of masjids you build. You are responsible for the decadence in society. Then of course you go mad. We need to understand that this beloved Prophet was someone who was asked not to follow the whims and fancies of society, who was asked not to serve any other master alongside his master, figuratively speaking, Allah. And that's the challenge. That's his preparation. Why? Because today, if you want to give yourself life, and you want to give life to your family members, you can't approach life with the tradition you have inherited. Here is what Allah told the people who claim they are following this great messenger. He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. And I told you, Iman has nothing to do with belief. Iman has everything to do with aman, and amana, which is not belief, which is efforts to prove and deliver. Which is efforts to prove, because in an iman of belief, everybody can become a believer and you don't have to prove anything. That's why in the average Muslim community, you hardly have people who are delivering. And if you read chapter 49, the Qur'an says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. And the common translation is, believers are brothers. Well, I'll tell you something. Ask those Arabs. But what I'm telling you can go, and if you do the research, in the Arabic language, ikhwa means more than brothers. Because you want to tell me really, you deal with all these Muslims that they are your brothers? I'll tell you, you're speaking on truth. You're not speaking the truth. You're not speaking the truth. You don't deal with the Muslims as you deal with your own brothers. You know that. So this word doesn't have meaning to you. Some people who are called Muslim, you want to run a mile from them. You want to be like Usain Bolt. You understand? When you see them, you gone. Because them is not brothers. Them is some kind of others. Right? So what this ikhwa means? Ask the Arabs what they used to do in the evening when their animals come home. The Arabs will drive a pole in the ground. The Arabs will drive a pole in the ground and they will tie their animals to that pole. That's called ikhwa. You want to know who is my ikhwa? And you want to know who's your ikhwa? Your ikhwa and my ikhwa is not somebody say, oh brother, we are Muslims. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, mashallah.